when I look at an MP, and that I think the way in which I look at it helps me to say the backlog in legislation, the not so very good performance in legislating is not their fault. The expectation of Indian people today, and again it's not their fault why the expectation is like that, and I suppose today we are in a stage where we have to understand why expectations have reached where they have reached, and probably now on manage the expectations also better. The expectations of the people are one thing, which I would put as a social and emotional expectation. If you were to look at it like a ladder, one large bamboo pole here, another large bamboo pole here, the member of parliament in the Lok Sabha is probably trying to put little, footsteps to run it or keep it together so that he can climb and perform. And if you were to look at it like that, the social and the emotional plank on which the footstep rests is pushing him to micromanage his constituency. When he starts micromanaging his constituency, he meets with the expectations of the people. Now, is the expectation of the people as regards the member of parliament correct? Has it got to be at that stage? Sanjay ji raised a very important point. I'm just going a bit ahead of what I wanted to present on, to take that as an example. One of the parameters on which he expects the member of parliament to be assessed is the way in which his voters perceive him. Yes, it is very important. But his voters perceive him for what? Perceive him for laying a small village road? Perceive him for bringing a water tank in a little settlement which doesn't even have a drinking water facility? Assess him for, again, a primary health center which remains without a doctor for a long time? These are indicators for the public perception, the voters' perception of his or her MP, and therefore if you want to go and gauge from them if the MP has performed to their satisfaction, first of all, I think it's somebody's business, my business, your business, everybody's business, to tell the voters in that constituency that do you want your member of parliament to micromanage your constituency, or do you want him to legislate? So if you were to ask that question, you will probably say in the last 60 years, the poor tightrope walk that our MPs are doing to micromanage, keep his voter happy, at the same time come back and say, how many legislations have I been participating, leave alone drafting a private member's bill and therefore tabling it. So I think if you look at the two poles, holding which if the MP has to walk, I would think the legislative business has been compromised over the last 60 years. And as a result, you have an accumulating set of not working on it. When I say legislation, it is not just legislation being passed there under the central list, not just the legislations which have to be having an overarching effect that today, like the way in which a few bills are being lokpal is one example, where you want a single law which is going to have overarching effect on the states too, although law and order still comes under the state subject. There are several such, but over and above this, not just this, the various commission reports which come to the parliament, they have not even acted on it as one of the allegations we throw at them. The police reforms which has been on as a topic of discussion since 1960. The channel discussions which happen, I saw one of the recent ones in which being anchored by Mr. Nigam, was on it. If the parliament has not had reasonable time to discuss on it, discuss the findings of such commissions which are commissioned to look at what is wrong with the system of delivery mechanisms about which we heard Mr. Seelam talk. Now, if that is the case, so my one pillar on which, or one bamboo pole on which the parliament member is struggling is micromanaging his constituency, going and opening. I know we used to make fun of one of our MPs with a lot of respect, saying, "Sir, you are a minister for your constituency, but you are not in Delhi at all." Because he would say, yeah, my voters will get angry. He is there now to open up a library. a public reading room. He's there for a child who's just born in the house because there's a naming ceremony. He's also there naturally and understandably if there is a death in the house of one of his voters. End of the day, does he have the time to read his due legislative things? So that is one of the polls on which they have been giving a lot of attention. End of the day, legislation suffer. Reports of commissions which come to them suffer. And in any case, today he is convinced himself that he is happy with this parameter of voter being kept happy. He can go back and then face him again in 5 years.